Last-minute preparations before the conference begins, there lie long years of work and struggle for the advancement of African independence. Yesterday, these countries, now meeting in Accra, were far apart. Often they were divided against each other. Today, they are one. Names are changing. Ideas are changing too. Here begins, in unity, a new Africa. Ethiopia, Ghana, Liberia, Libya, Morocco, Sudan, Tunisia, United Arab Republic. Strong, with the onward drive of liberation. Peaceful, because independent. United, because free. Only South Africa, although invited, does not attend. A year ago, Ghana welcomed the statesmen of the world to celebrate her own independence. Today, this country is proud to welcome the statesmen of free Africa. Each head of delegation, as he arrives, is received by Prime Minister Nkrumah and his colleagues. The first, President Tubman of Liberia, meets Ghana cabinet ministers Mr. Krobo Eduse, Mr. Kofi Baku, Mr. Benson, and the British High Commissioner, Sir Ian McClellan. To the spokesman of Free Africa, units of the Army of Ghana present a guard of honor. They symbolize here a new idea, breaking from the colonial past, that the defense of Africa should be undertaken by Africans and for Africans. Flying in from Addis Ababa is Prince Saleh Selassie Haile Selassie. He is leader of the Ethiopian delegation and personal representative of His Majesty the Emperor of Ethiopia. Prince Saleh is not a newcomer to Ghana. It's little more than a year since he brought to Ghana's independence celebrations the good wishes of his country. The United Arab Republic, which stands at the crossroads of Africa and Asia, sends its foreign minister, Dr. Mahmoud Fazi. He has come, like other delegates from North Africa, across the Sahara. For long a barrier to African unity, but today, a bridge. Then comes Foreign Minister Sayed Mohamed Ahmed Maju, who leads the delegation of the Republic of the Sudan. From Tunisia, Dr. Sadek Moukadam, Secretary of State for Foreign Affairs. From the Kingdom of Libya, there comes Foreign Minister Wakbi El Bouri. Through delay from bad flying weather, the 8th delegation and its leader, that of Morocco with Foreign Minister Ahmed Balafrej at its head, will arrive in a few hours' time during the night. Dr. Nkrumah, this is a moment when great plans come true.
Leaders and representatives of the government of the African independent states, fellow Africans, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. It is my pleasant duty on behalf of the government and people of Ghana to welcome you, our distinguished guests, to our country. We are deeply grateful and highly honored to have among us such eminent statesmen of free Africa. We hope that your stay in our midst will be happy and enjoyable. And we pray that divine providence will bless and guide our deliberations so that we may arrive at decisions which will be to the mutual benefit of the peace, happiness, and prosperity of our various countries.
For long years, men in Africa have hoped for a meeting such as this, and so it's a high point in African history.
Had the miseries of our continent ended with the slave trade, we might perhaps have found the means of recovering from the wounds which this system inflicted upon us. But alas, a new misfortune, colonialism, befell us. While the slave trade took away from Africa shiploads of our people, colonialism enslaved them in their own territories. We repudiate and condemn all forms of racialism. For racialism not only injures those against whom it is used, but warps and perverts the very people who preach and protect it. And when it becomes a guiding principle in the life of any nation, as it has become in some other parts of Africa, then that nation digs its own grave. It is inconceivable that a racial minority will be able forever to maintain its totalitarian domination over an awakened majority. We, the independent states of Africa, seek to eliminate racialism by our own example of a tolerant, multiracial community reflecting the freely expressed will of the people based upon universal adult suffrage. Africa is the last remaining stronghold of colonialism. Unlike Asia, there are on the continent of Africa more dependent territories than independent sovereign nations. Therefore, the free, independent states of Africa have a responsibility to hasten the total liberation of Africa. I believe
The Prime Minister speaks of the responsibility which the independent states of Africa also feel towards the cause of world peace. He calls for an end to the testing of nuclear weapons. He condemns any plan there may be for using the Sahara as an atomic testing ground. He appeals to the United Nations to halt any such threat to African safety. Today, he says, we are one. An injury to one is an injury to all. From this conference must go out a new message. Hands off Africa. Africa must be free. Prince Saleh of Ethiopia brings a special message from his father, the Emperor. It is the duty of the great and free nations assembled here today, he declares, to ensure that the weight of Africa's prestige and power is enlisted on the side of peace. As an integral part of Africa, Ethiopia looks back with pride on the role she's played in the history of Africa's development. This conference is thinking not only of the interests and future of its 8 members. It is concerned to show the rest of the world that for the African continent a new chapter has begun, a chapter called equality. This wider meaning is underlined by President Tubman of Liberia.
The eyes of the world and all Africa are focused upon us and our deliberations at this time. What we do and what we achieve will either reflect credit to the peoples of this continent or justify the assertion that the African is incapable of managing alone his own affairs. I pay special tribute to the vision and forethought Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, Prime Minister of Ghana, for having proposed this conference, the first of its kind in the history of Africa, for the purpose of providing a forum for the free and unfettered exchange of views on any matters which are of interest to individual African states or to all peoples of Africa.
The customary atmosphere of Parliament House, one of dignity and responsibility, is emphasized as delegate after delegate speaks of the dominant problems of Africa today. There are parties, diplomatic gatherings, and informal receptions as well. The chance of a little relaxation among friends. With these is Ghana's Minister of Trade, Mr. Kojo Botsio, who's seen here in national dress. At the State House, official residence of the Governor-General, Lord Listowel and Lady Listowel, the Governor-General's mother, give delegates a welcome that also comes from Ghana's other gremlin, the British Commonwealth of Nations. One of the more formal receptions, President Tubman awards the head of each delegation with the Liberian Order of the Venerable Pioneer. These public occasions, of course, accompany the working sessions of the conference, which take place in private. But between these working sessions, there's also time for delegates to see something of Ghana's progress. The banquet ushers in the last phase of a successful conference. Delegates have reason to be satisfied. They have agreed on many things and disagreed on some other things. In the end, they've reached common ground on every point of importance. Skill and maturity, a willingness to compromise, determination. These good things have marked their work. On the eve of the closing session, they pledged themselves to meet again. Note of energy and confidence in the future, delegates meet Mr. K.A. Bedimer, leader of the Ghana delegation, thanks them for the many good things they've said of his country for its pioneering work.
The conference is now ending, and our guests will soon be departing for their homes. When we next meet, which at the invitation of the Ethiopian delegation will be in Addis Ababa, we shall look forward to seeing delegates from those territories like Algeria, Somaliland, and the Federation of Nigeria sitting side by side with us and taking a full part in our deliberations.